hand exercises for each Brunnstrom stage of stroke recovery. Feel free to skip through the timestamps until you get to your stage, and make sure that you talk with your doctor or therapist before starting any new therapy routine. Let's get into it. Stage 1, flaccidity. This stage usually happens right after the stroke occurs, and this is when you'll see kind of that limp, floppy, hanging arm and hand. You're usually not going to have any active movement, and in this stage, we really want to focus on passive range of motion to help reestablish brain-body connections. Now, there are 3 different exercises that I want to show you. I'll recommend that you do 3 sets of 12 for each of these exercises daily, unless you experience a lot of pain or discomfort, and then you need to back off. The first exercise is wrist extension and flexion. So if your hand kind of stays in a fist, that's okay, but you're going to try to bend the wrist down and then push it back up. So bend it down, push it up. Now, the second exercise is finger extension. This is where you're going to push all of those fingers out and back, and then bring them back in. So out and back. And then the last exercise for this one is thumb abduction. So this is where you're gonna be pushing that thumb out to the side. So out and away. And you can do it just like I'm doing here with my unaffected hand, where you're using your thumb and your index finger to push those fingers apart. Stage 2, spasticity develops. This is where you might notice that you've got tighter muscle tone, and especially in response to quick movements. This is when you might see elbows, wrists, and fingers start to bend without really trying, and that's because of that increased flexor tightness. Now, this means that you can still do passive range of motion exercises, which I definitely recommend. If you want to know what those are, go back to stage 1 and watch that section. But you're also going to want to add in a daily stretching routine for those spastic muscles in the hand, and you'll want to do at least 3 sets of 3 to 5 repetitions, holding each one for at least 5 seconds at the end range of that movement. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So for the first stretch, we want to focus on wrist extension. This is where you're bringing the wrist back. Now, if your hand is in a fist, that's okay. You can do it that way. Or if your fingers extend, you can also do that stretch that way as well. What you're going to do is push that wrist back. You're going to hold for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Now, the second stretch you're going to want to do is finger extension. So this is where you're going to try to get those fingers out as far as you can. It's okay if they don't come all the way out. Just work with the movement that you have, and you're going to push those fingers back, 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 as long as you're not pushing through pain or discomfort. You're holding for 5 seconds, then relaxing. The last one is a thumb abduction. So this is where you're again pushing that thumb out and away from the hand, holding for 5 seconds, and then relaxing back. Stage 3, spasticity increases. So this is when spasticity is at its worst. You may notice that your hand and your fingers curl in and become very difficult to extend. Even passive range of motion can be difficult in this stage due to that increased muscle tone. So stage 3 is where we're really focused on prolonged stretching. A daily prolonged stretching routine is super important to help maintain muscle and tendon length in order to prevent contractures from developing. So in stage 3, we're focused on the same stretching movements as in stage 2, but this time we're doing 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps, but we're holding for at least 30 seconds each. And because spasticity worsens with quick movements, you want to make sure that you're doing these stretches very, very slowly. So let me go ahead and show you. Our first stretch is wrist extension. So again, the same movement that we did in stage 2, but for this, we're moving very, very slowly until we get to the end of your range, making sure that you're not pushing through pain or discomfort as you get to the end range of your movement. And the difference here is instead of holding for 5 seconds like we did in stage 2, we're holding for an entire 30 seconds as long as you can tolerate it. And then you very slowly release and come back to your starting position. The second stretch is finger extension. Again, like in stage 2, but if you're unable to get your fingers completely extended out, just getting them extended as far as you can is perfectly acceptable. So just do what you can, work with your body and the movement that you have. So if you're only able to get your fingers out as far as I'm showing you here, that's okay. Hold there 30 seconds. The last stretch, of course, is thumb abduction, same in stage 2. You're going to try to get that thumb out and away from your hand. Again, you're holding for 30 seconds and then very slowly relaxing that thumb back down. Stage 4, spasticity decreases. Finally, we start to see that spasticity decrease and we start to see an increase in active movement, which is very exciting. Stretching is still a really important piece of your home rehab routine at this stage, so I'd recommend that you continue with that prolonged stretching routine that I talked about in stage 3. However, we're gonna start adding in some active exercises in this stage. I'd recommend going for 3 to 5 sets of 10 to 15 reps. I'd recommend 5 exercises for stage 4. You're gonna focus on active wrist flexion and extension. This position is going to help decrease the impact of gravity and give you less resistance, so this may be a better starting point. The second exercise is wrist, ulnar, and radial deviation. So this is where you're bringing your hand out to the side, toward the thumb side, and then to the pinky side. If you're able to get all of your fingers flat, that's great. Otherwise, you can also bring it up off of the table and do it against gravity this way. The third exercise is focused on finger flexion extension. So this is where you're practicing grip and release. This one can be really difficult, especially that extension part, even with that spasticity decreasing. The fourth exercise is finger abduction. So this is where you're bringing those fingers out and apart from each other and back in. So you can either lay them on the table, bring them out and back in, or you can come off of the table and do it like this. The last exercise is going to be thumb flexion and extension. So this is where you're bending the thumb in and bringing the thumb back. In and back, in and back. Stage 5, minimal spasticity. While spasticity is still hanging around, it's not impeding movement nearly as much. And you might even start to notice the beginning of better fine motor coordination and dexterity. So now we start strengthening exercises as well as dexterity exercises and activities. For strengthening, if you have an active grip, you can use a dumbbell or even a bag of rice or beans that you have around the house. But if you don't, you can actually use cuff weights that you wrap around your hand. I'd recommend starting with a weight that is challenging but doable for you, and I would aim for 3 to 5 sets of 8 to 15 repetitions every other day, giving yourself a rest break for these strengthening exercises. So I have got 5 exercises I'm going to recommend for hand strengthening. So grab your dumbbell. The first is wrist flexion and extension. So for extension, your palm is going to be down. You're going to bend your wrist back, slowly lower. For flexion, you're going to turn it so that your palm is up. Bend your wrist up, slowly lower. Next exercise, we're doing ulnar and radial deviation. So this is where you're gonna go side to side. Although if you can kind of get it up this way, you can go back and forth to the thumb side, to the pinky side. The third exercise is finger extension. And this is where you're gonna be putting your hand as flat as you can get it on a surface. Use your other hand to provide some tension and resistance. And you're gonna try to lift those fingers up off of the table and push back against the pressure of your other hand. Exercise number 4 is thumb extension. So it's kind of hard to do all your fingers at one time. So we're gonna come back, same thing here. You're gonna try to lift that thumb up off of the table, push against your other hand, slowly lower. The last exercise is grip strength. You can do this one of 2 ways. You can grab a little pack of these little resistance balls. I've got a link down in the description and a little product link if you're interested. But if you don't have one of these, you can grab a washcloth, ball it up, put it in your hand, and give it a big squeeze as hard as you can. Squeeze and relax, and that's your last strengthening exercise. I wanna add 2 dexterity exercises because it's important that you move your fingers to help improve that fine motor coordination. So the first is opposition, and this is where you're gonna take your thumb and touch it to each of your fingers in turn, and then go all the way back. And then the second dexterity exercise is finger tapping. So this is where you're gonna be putting your hand flat on a surface, and you're going to individually lift and tap your fingers down. Stage 6, no spasticity, coordination improves. So it's very exciting. Spasticity has finally resolved in this stage, and you're starting to see improved dexterity. Now, it's really important that you continue with those strengthening exercises for your hand that I talked about in stage 5. However, as fine motor coordination continues to improve, I want to add 3 different dexterity activities to your home rehab routine. You're going to do 3 to 5 sets of 8 to 15 repetitions, and they only require 1 tool. A pen. The first activity is actually taking a pen and spinning it between your fingers. So this is where you're just gonna try to spin that pen, manipulate it around using all of your fingers to spin it around. The second activity is in-hand manipulation. So this is where you're gonna put the pen in your hand, use your fingers to roll it up to the tips of your fingers, and then push it back down to the bottom of your hand. The third exercise is doing pin shifts. So this is where you're going to put the pin in your hand like you're going to write, but you're gonna try to shift it down, down, down to the end of the pen, and then shift it all the way back up. Stage 7, typical movement. So if you enter stage 7 and your hand movement returns to what was typical for you before your stroke, or at least close to that, I would encourage you to continue with strengthening your hand. We know that grip strength is closely related to mortality, so working on improving your grip strength is really important. One of the best exercises that you can do for your grip strength is called a farmer's carry. This is where you're gonna hold heavy dumbbells in one or both of your hands, and you're gonna walk from point A to point B and back again while maintaining a strong grip on those heavy dumbbells. Now, if you're not able to walk, you can also just do a static hold while you're sitting down. So this is where you might take those dumbbells and just hold those weights down by your side, maintaining a strong grip and not letting them fall. You wanna make sure that you don't have any existing shoulder issues before you do that exercise, and you also wanna make sure you're not working through pain or discomfort. If you want more ideas for workouts, make sure that you check out my upper body and lower body workouts playlist. And if you feel comfortable, leave me a comment and let me know what stage are you in and what exercises are you focusing on right now that are helping you. And of course, a huge thank you to all of the donors who make videos like this possible, with a special thank you to Heather G, Ryan D, and Modus Nova and our Empowerer tier. Links in the description if you'd like to find out how to support post-stroke too. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.